Join in and give us the support to begin this endeavor. Before we start, I actually wanted to thank Sam and Marta Alfano for graciously shutting down their business for us. We really, I said Sam.
I'm just pointing them out.
Oh, Sam's right there. And I think Marta's back there. But thank you so much for hosting us tonight. And if everyone can just support them tonight, that would be great. Everybody can talk. I'm so glad I printed this out in like 22 font because it's dark. And I have my reading glasses, so I'll try my best. Real quick, for those of you who weren't here last time for our first meeting, just really short, and I think a lot of people want to understand this. We started off with maybe 3 people, discussing our frustrations about not being able to express ourselves and, having a voice and sharing opinion without being attacked. Whatever your opinion is, we want to be able to be accepted and have dialogue, and that's so important. So it started off with 3 people, then it turned out to be 8 people, then it became 15 people, and in all this, meetings and discussions, we realized we all had one thing in common, and we were just talking about it, is that we feel intimidated to speak our minds. As women, we should not feel that, especially among our own selves. So that was what got us started, and we decided to start this, and we're so happy again for your support. The key mission of our group here is the 3 E's. It's very simple, and I think I mentioned this last time. It's engage, embolden, and empower. Very simple, and that's what, again, goes back to what our mission is. And, we need support, which we have a great start. And I think once you have that support, you feel more confident and more educated to be able to stand up and have dialogue. It's not to be able to fight, but to have dialogue. And just officially, and this can be found on our website, which Danielle will announce, I'm going to read you quickly the mission statement. By supporting programs and policies that advocate for inclusiveness, American values, and law and order, as described in the United States Constitution, we create an environment that enables self-empowerment and the independence and freedom derived from small government. Through education and providing reliable resources, so we're not just pulling this out of our back pocket, we can enable all women to make informed decisions that make a difference to their families, community, county, and state. Our mission is to build upon a sisterhood where all voices matter. Guest speaker tonight, and we're so pleased to have Bridget Kelly here. We really appreciate you coming out here to join us and speak to us. She's here to give us insight and valuable information regarding the position she is running for, the importance of women voting, and the key things we should know about voting and the election process. All things that are really important. Bridget Kelly has lived in Bergen County her whole life. She has 4 children whom she adores, and she has been an active member in their schools, running fundraisers and helping out with the kids' lacrosse and football teams. One of the hardest parts of parenting has been helping her son Connor manage his heart condition, which is total anomalous pulmonary venous return, which required him to undergo open heart surgery mere hours after he was born. To this day, Bridget offers counseling to parents of babies with congenital heart disease. Professionally, Bridget served as a legislative aide to Assemblyman David Russo, working her way up to Chief of Staff. In that position, she traveled to Trenton, assisting the Assemblymen on legislative and constituent matters. Because of her ability to work across the aisle in a productive manner, Bridget then went on to serve in the administration of Governor Chris Christie, where she was able to bring together a Democratic state legislature and a Republican governor on key initiatives. Bridget seeks to rid our system of corruption and hyper-partisanship. And again, hyper is the key word there. Always a public servant at heart, Bridget will never tire, and sorry, it's my eyes. Always a public servant at heart, Bridget will never tire in her efforts to make our community a better place for future generations. Something I think we all share. She is running for county clerk on a platform of reforming the office, ridding it of unnecessary spending, and increasing transparency. Ladies, please help me in welcoming Bridget Kelly.
Thank you. Ladies, thank you for having me. Seriously, I was so honored. My high school best friend was here, Tony Ann Edwards. And ironically, it's amazing how life, you know, we go through things as life as women and as moms. Tony Ann was there 2 days after Connor was born and was at Columbia Presbyterian and actually told me she was pregnant with Allison that day. So I was in the hospital room and Tony Ann came over to Columbia and sat with me while Connor was recovering from heart surgery. So it's amazing how our lives, how people come back and forth and into your lives. So real quick, you heard my bio. I've been in state government for 20 years. More importantly, I'm a mom. I've been a mom for 24 years. I have 4 kids. Mary Kate's 24. She lives in Charleston. Connor's 21. He's a junior at Fairfield, rising senior. Liam just graduated Don Bosco, going to Indiana. Don Bosco just won the state championship in lacrosse. And then Liam's going to Indiana. Anne-Marie is 14. She graduates on Friday from the Academy of St. Paul, and she'll be at IHA in the spring, in the fall. So my first job as a mom, I'm a single mom, but I grew up in Ramsey. It's my home. Bergen County's my home. The only time I left was when I went down to school at Mount St. Mary's College in Emmitsburg, Maryland. I came back, and we've raised our kids here. I've worked the entire time I've had my children. I worked for Assemblyman Dave Russo for 16 years, who Krista Phillips took over for. So, you know, Krista's an excellent public servant. Dave was a great public servant. In 2009, at the end of 2009, beginning of 10, Governor Chris Christie asked me to come down to work in Trenton. So I did for 4 years. I won't get into it, but we know how that ended. So it was a long little 7-year hiatus, but one thing it taught me was to stand up for what you believe in and stand up for what's right. And, you know, there are certain things in life. I was offered, and I'm going off a little bit from where we talk about, but I think it's important for this group. You know, I was offered a plea deal. I was offered to go down to the, you know, U.S. Attorney's Office and plead guilty to something I didn't do. And they were going to cut me a break, and they were going to put me on probation. So my attorney said to me, "Do you really want to do that?" And I said, no, because I'd be lying. How am I going to tell my kids? Because the easy way out would be to be on probation, right? The easy way out would be to end this all and not go to trial. I said, Mike, to my attorney, Critchley, I said, I can't do this. He goes, well, that's good, because I can't represent you if you're going to. Because if you're going to go down there and lie, which is what a lot of people do because they don't want to go through it, and I get it, but I don't. So for me it was, you know what, I'm not going to go and plead guilty to something I didn't do. I'm going to take this and fight it. So I was indicted. I was indicted in May 1st, my daughter's senior prom, 2015. And it's all over national news, and it was a ridiculous story. And I was then arraigned the Monday after. And I was treated like a criminal. They strip searched me. They took my passport, mugshot, the whole 9 yards. And I was treated like, I can't even tell you, if I told you the stories, your hair would curl. So after that, I wasn't allowed to vote. I was allowed to vote, I shouldn't say that, it was after I was convicted. Long story short, 7-week trial, I was found guilty on 9 federal charges. That day, I surrendered every right. I wasn't allowed to cross state lines without permission. I wasn't allowed to vote anymore. It was a presidential election year. For me, as a government nerd, not being able to vote was probably one of the hardest things for me as a woman, but also because I love the process of government and I know how important voting is. So that was taken away from me, and I remember election night in my pajamas. I couldn't get out of my pajamas because I was so depressed. I was being sentenced to prison in 2 months. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I can't vote. And I thought about my kids, and I thought about what you know, look at this election, right? 2016 was a huge election, whatever side you're on. It was a huge election, and I couldn't take part in that, and I felt that a part of me had been taken away. Fast forward, I was sentenced to prison the first time for 18 months. I said I wasn't going to talk about Bridget, but there's a reason why I'm telling you this. Sentenced to prison for 18 months, so what are your options then? Your options are you can fight it still. So we were appealing to the United States Court of Appeals, to the Third Circuit. We went there, we got there. They took my case. I had the #1 appeals firm in the country representing me from Washington, D.C. We went to Philly. They took away 2 of my charges, so I was left with 7. So then I get sentenced again to prison for 13 months. After that, what's my last hope? Your last hope is the United States Supreme Court. So my attorneys sit me down and they said, I'm going to tell you something. This is a long shot. They get 10,000 requests a year. 10,000 requests a year. They take 75. We're going to try it, but you've got to prepare your kids that you're going to prison. So on June 28th, the last day of the United States Supreme Court spring semester, I'll call it, it's the last day, so we know we're going to hear whether or not they it's called granted cert. And I was leaving for prison 9 days later. We had prepared, my ex-husband was going to move in, and the kids were ready. We had it all planned out. There is a spa close to the prison, so the girls were happy, but priorities, right? And so I'm sitting there where, you know, my girlfriends are there, my Aunt Pat, my mom, and my son Connor's sitting at the island in the kitchen, and the other kids are, I don't know, Mary Kate's in Charleston, and the other 2 are upstairs because they didn't know what hit them. They're all going through it in different ways. And the reception's better in our kitchen, and he keeps on hitting, he's like, we got it, we got it, we got it. And I said, Connor, it's in Latin. You never took Latin. How do you know we got it? So my phone starts ringing, and it was my attorney, and he said, they granted cert. You're not going to prison. And it was 9 days. So I tell you the story, I tell you the story because it would have been a lot easier to take a plea deal, but it wouldn't have been the right thing to do. So I give you all such credit for doing the right thing. It's on a different scale, but you all believe in something, and that's why you're here tonight. You're not here, you might be here for a good cocktail. I don't blame you. You might be here for good pizza. I don't blame you. But you believe in something, and you believe in the process, and that's what's going to make a difference. And I tell you that story only because you can't give up. I'll finish that part of the story with the fact that on June 8th, in the midst of the pandemic, because we didn't know what was going to happen, January 14th of 2020, we went down to the United States Supreme Court, and Kelly versus the United States was heard before the 9 justices of the Supreme Court. It was really kind of cool for a government nerd, but it was really my life. So my whole family was there, my friends, it was just amazing. And the kids were there, and they were fascinated, and I got to see Ruth Bader Ginsburg before she passed away. So that was very cool. And again, I'm a nerd, so this was all so exciting for me. But it was also my life, and it was the life of my kids. And you don't find anything out that day. You get 1 hour to have your case heard. And you think to yourself, it's 7 weeks to go through a trial, and 1 hour is going to decide if I'm going to prison for 13 months or not. This is a lot. It's a lot to take in. We do it, we leave. Well, I had a visitor in front of me. My former boss sat in front of me with his wife, which I thought was very interesting, but neither here nor there. And on June 8th, in the midst of the pandemic, I was driving in Englewood Cliffs, and I got a phone call that the Supreme Court had overturned unanimously my case. I tell you, it's about resilience. It's about not giving up, but it's also about doing what's right. And so I give you all so much credit for doing what's right. I know over the years raising my kids, talking to moms in the parking lot, a lot of people weren't informed, and they weren't voting, and they weren't trying to make a difference. You don't know how much you can impact your town, your county, your state, and your federal government. It's groups like this all over the country that are doing that. So I ask you all to really continue this, but also talk to 5 or 10 of your friends, and get them to believe in what you believe in. And I mean the process, not necessarily your beliefs on an issue. Get them to believe in the process and believe that they can change the process. Right now, we are, it's turnout yesterday was abysmal. It was a gubernatorial primary, so it should be higher. On the Republican side, there were 4 candidates, and it was abysmal. And that's sad. They've made voting very easy. Maybe not legal, but they've made it very easy. And so I really do think that, there's something to be said about going into a booth and pressing the buttons. You kind of feel like you've done something. You've done, you check the box literally, but figuratively you also are making a difference. You're exercising a right, and I'm going to say to you that was taken from me, that I would get mad if you didn't go vote. Because to not have that right, or to have that right and not exercise it, I don't know if you can go about your day. It's just how I feel. I certainly don't think that if you don't vote, I really don't know how many opinions you're allowed to have. Seriously, how many people do you meet and they talk and you're like, well, did you vote? Oh, I'm not even registered. What? So those are the people that you say, you know what? Here's a voter registration card. Here's a mail-in ballot. Mail-in ballots have taken the place of absentee ballots. I'm going to get into that quick because I know that's what we wanted to talk about. Mail-in ballots are now new absentees, but once you're in mail-in ballot hell, you can't get out of mail-in ballot hell unless you take a very concerted effort to get out of mail-in ballot hell. And you can do it through the county clerk's office, and you can do it through the Division of Elections, but I'm telling you right now, if you can exercise the right to vote in person, go do it. Because this mail-in ballot process it's torture. It really is. For some people, for your kids that are away at school, they automatically get the ballot. It makes total sense. If you go to Florida, for the winters, you automatically get your ballot. I get that. But if you're in Wyckoff, you're in Ramsey, you're in Franklin Lakes, and you're getting a mail-in ballot, get off that list and go vote in person. Seriously. I'm telling you, it just makes such a difference. You can almost count more so that your vote's being counted, that you're going to the booth, as opposed to writing, filling out the piece of paper. We had instances all over the county with this last election whereby, ballots were thrown out in Rochelle Park, from a nursing home in Rochelle Park. Ballots were filled out by others. You don't want someone else filling out your ballot. Not at all. The only time you would impersonate anyone was a fake ID when you were younger, right? That was it. But everyone's legal here, so it's all good. But the Office of the County Clerk, basically the job there is to enact the law. So as much as I might not like mail-in ballots, I will have to enact the law. We process the passports. We keep records in the county, property records. It's really an administrative office. It's really not political. I was explaining before, how I feel about things really doesn't matter, because in terms of, I can't enact change. Where can we enact change? Your local government. You can petition and call. There's nothing, no one is more accountable than your local mayor or council people, and I don't know if we have any in the room.
We have our mayor here, Melissa, for Wyckoff anyway.
Oh, is she here? Hi, Mayor. There's no one more accountable, and she's got very cute kids, but there's no one more accountable than your local government. And so, those are the people you talk to about enacting your local changes. On the county level, we have a county executive, and then we have the Board of Commissioners. They're no longer freeholders because that name's not allowed anymore. So they're now the Board of Commissioners. So, which I forget all the time, and I call them freeholders and I get in trouble and all this kind of stuff. So the commissioners are basically your local government at the county level. And then your governor and your people like your assembly people like Chris and Kevin and Kristen Corrado in District 40 and the others in the other districts, they're basically like the third level of government. And then you have Congress, and then you have the president. But you know where the biggest changes are? Your local government and your Board of Education. Your Board of Education right now is probably the most important form of government, I would say nationwide, because from everything, they're the ones deciding whether or not our kids are wearing masks. They're the ones that enact the mandates, or they don't enact the mandates. So look up who's running for your Board of Ed, positions in your towns. those elections are going to be huge. And that turnout will only help the top of the ticket. So the way the ballot looks is that the top of the ticket's going to be your gubernatorial race, so it'll be Phil Murphy versus Jack Ciattarelli, and then you'll have the entire legislature. So in District 40 specifically, it'll be Kristen Corrado, Krista Phillips, and Kevin Rooney. I'm not sure the names of Democratic candidates. And then below you'll have your sheriff, clerk, surrogate, and then your local candidates, and then your Board of Ed. So I would tell you all right now, research. This group seems to really do their homework. Which
Research or run?
Research or run, absolutely. I mean, listen, it is a thankless and tireless job, but I will tell you right now, the difference you make makes up for both of those things. And I think that all politics is local. I love the process of government. I don't love the politics of government. It's necessary, but it doesn't have to be divisive. And I think locally, as women, I think it's so important that we get involved and you find the time to get involved because it's affecting your kids. It is affecting your kids at every level, but if you can make that change at the local level, I think making that a priority. If you can find the time, you have the drive, take that chance and do it because the kids will thank you, but also you're going to learn so much about what a difference you can make. And if you talk to 5 friends and they talk to 5 friends, you then see, I really did something. And at the end of the day, putting your head on the pillow knowing you made a change or knowing you did the right thing is a lot better than wondering what you could have done. So.
Absolutely.
Why don't you do some questions? Yeah.
I'm happy to take questions if anyone has any. If not, that's okay too.
And you could also tell them about that you brought what you brought.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Your bag of tricks.
My baggage, what I call my swag.
Swag, right.
I have voter registration. No one has to admit to it, but or if you know someone that's not registered to vote, there's voter registration forms up front. There's also mail-in ballot forms. I don't like them, but they're there. So if you're not going to be here in November because you're finally being able to travel overseas, fill out your mail-in ballot application and get that in. Also get your ballot before you go away, please. And then there's also information on my, just a little palm card from my campaign. But I am accessible, reachable. All you have to do is Google me. And I am so honored to be here. I'm honored to run. I will tell you, because I'm a nerd, I went into the voting booth yesterday. It was the first time I could vote since my conviction was overturned. And to see my name on the ballot was kind of cool. So I tell you that because I did what I believe was right. And sometimes the hardest things are what's right. And I gave my kids really good college essay subject matter. Really good college essay subject matter. But at the end of the day, I think they learned something. And we still, knock heads. I've got 2 daughters and 2 sons, so we knock heads on different issues. Right, Tonya? And but at the end of the day, it's they know what we did as a family, and that's truly what it was the right thing. And God willing, they learn from that. So thank you all so much for being here and for having me.
I mean, she makes you feel like she's one of us, right? Like, I think that's important for the process. Our whole philosophy, by the way, I'm Danielle, for those of you who don't know, Compatiello, one of the 3 triplet twins, I call them triplets, of Women United, and I thank you for being here. But also, thank you to Bridget for coming here, spending the time with us. I think you can see why we like her so much. She's very likable, but also she's honest and she's down to earth. She's a mom. She can talk on our level, which is so important. I did want to give you guys the chance, if anybody has a question for Bridget, by all means, I would be more than happy to come over to you and you can ask her whatever you want. She's already prefaced it by saying she is an open book. Nothing is off topic for her. She actually prefers, being asked questions if you have any. So if you want to put your hand up, if you don't, that's fine. Just let me see. All right, of course, the furthest person. Make me walk. Wait, you know what? I'm wearing good shoes. All right, let's see. No, just say your name and where you're from.
Sonia Savano from Riverdale. So my question is, what do you say to the people that are discouraged to vote only because of the election fraud.
So should I run back there?
No, you can stay here. You can stay here.
What do
She'll
you say
bring it on.
about the election fraud? People that don't want to vote because they're discouraged about the election fraud.
Good question.
Thank you, Sonia, thank you. And thank you for coming from Rivervale. I would say this. I would say you have to keep voting. And I say that because I don't know how anyone can change the fraud or the so-called fraud, whatever. I don't, you know, people could be on all sides of this, so I want to be very careful. But I think you have to keep voting. I think you have to keep being a part of the process. But you also have to look locally. What can I do to help that? Why don't I go be a poll worker? Why don't you go and be a poll worker, right? I'm not saying you, Sonia, but anyone that has questions. Go be a poll worker. First of all, you make $400 for the day. It's 15 hours, but you get a lot of donuts. And you meet a lot of great people. I walked in yesterday, the ladies were crying because they haven't seen me in so long, but I didn't have donuts, so I forgot. But Sonia, I would tell you, keep voting, but also go figure out how can you or others become part of the process. How can you, affect change? It's becoming involved. So I'd say you're not, by being here, you're not discouraged, you just want to know how you can help, right? And so as you talk to people, get them to join groups like this so that you can help to affect change. But I would encourage you or anyone else, go work the polls. Go work the polls and see what's going on. Because then you can speak what's going on.
Right.
I also, because I know a little bit, Bridget and I have had some conversation. One thing I want you to talk about, if you don't mind, is the surrogate. So,
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Unfortunately, the surrogate that's running kind of counterpart, her name is Simone, she could not be here tonight, unfortunately, but she has a kind of dismal job. And, she's the one that records the deaths, right? So, Bridget, like she already stated, if she is elected, and hopefully we will get her elected, I don't worry about it too much, but when she gets into office, one of her main things is, like she said, she can't make the law, but she can certainly make changes to support the law. And one of the things that she told me when we spoke is how important it is to have that death recording connected with the people that are actually voting. Right now, and I'm speaking for you,
That's
so
okay.
correct me, but right now, there's nothing in place that if you're somebody, unfortunately, your family's deceased, they possibly can be, fall through the cracks. They get a voter mail-in ballot, and they can have somebody in their house, fraudulently send it in, and there's no team that is checking that. So that's something that Bridget can enforce, because it is the law. You're not allowed to do that. You're dead, right? But what she said really touched me, because unfortunately I lost my mom a year ago, and she said, one of the things, although it's illegal, what bothered her more, and this stuck with me, I didn't tell you this, but it stuck with me because it's fresh in my mind with my mom, how does that make the family member feel? Getting that piece of mail that's still it's almost like, how do you not know my loved one's gone? It's kind of like, of course they don't know, they don't care about your person, but it's like, it's disrespectful, and it's hurtful, and that affected her, and that kind of spoke volumes to me that she actually had said that, because she didn't have to say that. Yeah. Politicians, we sometimes put they're politicians, but she still has a heart. They haven't taken it from her, and I think that's so awesome. So, anybody else? Did you want to say
No, it's all good. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know for certain
There's a
too.
question. Danielle, there's a question.
Okay, question. All right. Oh, Lori. Lori, have it.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. I really appreciate it. So there's a lot of, I find myself personally that I don't know where to turn to get truth. I think the media is almost like public enemy number one. So for us to be able to decide with our own discerning minds, where do we go? Do you have any advice as to where we go? If you give me just stats on something, I can use my reasoning mind without opinion. Do you have any suggestions?
I heard the website for this group is very good.
Yeah,
Lori, it's nice to meet you. The answer is I don't know. And I say that only because I struggle with the same thing. I've also gotten to know, or I had known, you know, a lot of politicians in my life, and a lot of them are full of crap. Most of them are full of crap. But then you've got the media. But there are some really decent people who can have really decent conversations with you. And I think you guys touched on that, right? It's about the conversations. So, Lori, what I would say to you is that you almost research the candidates on your own. If we're not talking about issues. Issues are, like, I'm so confused with COVID stuff that I can't even see straight. And I'm an educated woman. I think about, you know, my parents who are older, you know, it's overwhelming, right? But if you're speaking specifically about candidates, I see, is that
Well, I think in general,
globally,
just because
like what's happening in the day-to-day?
with COVID, with what's going on with legislation, why, you know, like, just to report.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Like, is there like a website that just say, okay, well, we want to know something about the law. We just want the facts.
Right.
We don't want your
Right.
opinion, we just want the facts.
Right. So the short answer is that you can go to the state of New Jersey website, right? And so they have all the bills that are introduced, and you can click on them. It's tedious, and it's time consuming, and it's, you know, you can search a subject matter, Lori, so if there's something that you're interested in, whatever X, Y, and Z the subject is, you can search by subject matter, and on the legislative website, there's no color to it. It's, you know, it's written in bill language, which is boring and bland, and sometimes you need to be an attorney to understand it, and sometimes there's twisted words. I mean, the answer is the bills are written because they're accommodating whatever special interest group, let's be clear, but that's the most, you know, for legislative purposes, that's the most bland you're going to get, and then you can get this, you know, you can sign up to get the schedule for when bills are voted on and whatnot. In terms of voting and candidates, I think for me, I mean, it's really researching in their websites, and you have to trust that their websites are accurate, and what they say is what they're going to do. So the answer is none of it's accurate, because what they say they're going to do, they're not able to do. And so it's frustrating, and I say that with all sincerity. It's you know, we all have grand plans on what we want to do, right? And largely for me, it's interesting that my job's even a political election, because it's so administrative. And you oversee elections. You would think that you wouldn't want that to be a political election, but it is, and I can't do anything about it. So it's a constitutional office along with the surrogate and the sheriff. But it is, you know, everybody has grand plans on what the changes they want to make and the things they want to do. But once you get there, it's much more difficult. And you're not naturally with like-minded individuals who want to have a conversation, or who want, there are people who just want to fight, you know, there are people that don't want to come and meet in the middle. I will give, and don't tell anyone I said this, but Chris Christie a little bit of credit. He was able to, and I truly mean this, he and the Senate President had the best relationship in the world, and the Senate President was a Democrat from South Jersey. And they got stuff done all the time. And it was monumental stuff. I mean, you know, he did some stuff to the teachers, and if there's teachers here, I'm sorry, but he definitely made changes because he was able to work together. And the problem is that's missing from government today, completely. Locally, right, Mayor? Locally, at the county level, it's all Democrats. So, you know, I'm not going to get into the partisanship of it, but when you have one-party rule, it's much easier to get along. And, you know, it's really just kind of doing your own research, but then hoping that the people you believe in are doing what they said they were going to do. And holding people accountable. Groups like this, you can hold people accountable. So being a member of this is a huge part of that, and I give you such credit. That's why I was so impressed.
Could you just, as long as
I'm sorry, I talked too much.
So one quick thing, because we're going to wrap up. We have worked very, very hard to try and find nonpartisan, quality resources, good information. On our website, there's a link to literally to find your legislators if you want to send them an email or a letter. We have a link to the actual legislative website that's toggled to New Jersey. So you can go there, you can actually search bills. You can see what bills are currently being considered, what has recently been passed. So I have a direct link from our website to that page, so you can actually have some decent information to make your own decision on. We also follow Independent Women's Voices, which is led by Tammy Bruce, who actually was a former Democrat. She's a libertarian, but she has hired a litany of women attorneys to take bills, dissect them, and turn them into English. And so I have links to their website. So just whatever resources that we find that are credible and that are as nonpartisan as possible so that you can actually make your own decision, read it, see how you feel about it, and then you make your own decision. We will never ever tell you, you should do this or you should do that. Our job is to, let's talk about whatever we can talk about. Everybody has their own opinion, and let's look at real quality information, and then you make your own choice.
Thank you. So, I'm like in the camera. I just realized. It's 8 o'clock.
Oh.
And you know what that means, right? So we're all about women, networking, sisterhood. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to extend the olive branch to all parties. Everybody is welcome in our house. Number one, wherever that house is. Today, it's 5:13. Next month, it's going to be at the Storm. We welcome everyone. Tell anyone, no matter where they lay on the party line, this is a safe place. And we mean that. We are not here to fight. We are here to educate, provide resources, truth, and policy over politics. So one of the things that we wanted to do to make it a little different than some of these kind of can be stuffy political groups is we want to highlight an entrepreneur, somebody that obviously is a woman that has created a business for themselves and what their business is, and just to kind of give them a 1-minute elevator pitch. So I would like to introduce our very first entrepreneur, Miss Julie Shotmeyer.
I really appreciate being the first entrepreneur, female entrepreneur, highlighted at this group. I own Jet Set Getaways in Wyckoff, New Jersey. I created this business as a single mom from the basement of my home in Wyckoff. After 5 years, I was able to rent a storefront and keep it throughout the pandemic. So, I'd like to introduce you. If you use our company, and if you haven't, I really want you to get to know my team members because they're really important to me. I wouldn't be where I am without them. This is Jenna and Tara. You might email them and get a face to the name. I only have 1 minute. I know Lori's going to be singing, so I don't want to take up too much time, but if you want to ask me any questions, and you told me to be quick.
No, I said spoiler.
Okay, spoiler. So if you want to ask me any questions, I know it's really hard right now with traveling and all the restrictions. So if you need to know anything, please feel free to come to me. I keep daily updates on all of the countries. So we are constantly updated. I'll be in the back if you want to ask any questions, or my contact information is on these brochures that Tara and Jen is going to hand out. So before the pandemic, it was really valuable to use our agency. We have relationships with the owners, general managers. I work my ass off, girls, to make sure you get those upgrades. So Julie's on the top of the upgrade list for you, okay? You gotta work what you have, right? So to be honest, my husband comes to me and says, Mike, over there, you don't know me. Okay, so I get you guys upgraded. I get you perks. I get you food and beverage credits, spa credits. You just get more with booking with us instead of booking online. So with that, you know, we're here to help you. We're located in Wyckoff. We have special promotions for you in the back, and also a chance to win a $500 Four Seasons gift card. So please reach out to us anytime, and again, if you need anything, I'm here to help you.
Wow. Nice. I said to Julie, you have a 1-minute elevator pitch, and I know she loves to talk like I do, and I am impressed. Julie is a rock star when it comes to travel. I literally asked her a question about a train for my dad, and she's like, no, I don't really do trains. But within seconds, she texts me like a whole itinerary. I'm like, oh, you don't do trains. So anyway, she will do anything. She really will. She's amazing with everything. There's nobody better than her. So thank you, Julie, for being our first spotlight. I'm sorry we're running over.
That's okay. Don't forget the raffle.
And we are so excited to tell you that we have a donation from Julie. On top of that wonderful opportunity to win that prize that she just shared with us, we have her favorite travel steamer. Beauty Clubbing. I don't know what it's called.
I almost burned down the Four Seasons Florence with my old one. I'm not even kidding. I did. Like, it caught on fire. So I use this one and use it internationally. It's really safe.
Wow.
So thank you.
Nice.
She purchased that for you. And to bring your attention, how do you win that, right? You want to know, right? Okay. So in the back, some of you may have, how many of you were at our launch? Raise your hands. Okay, thank you so much for being there. You probably filled out, hopefully, a questionnaire that helps us to know better how we guide this group, okay? Because it's important, we want you a part of this process. It's new, we're excited, but we want you a part of it. Because again, our focus is on sisterhood and building a women network, okay? So that questionnaire that you filled out, we appreciate it. We got a lot of information from that. And if you did not come to our launch on May 1st, have no fear, there is a questionnaire in the back. Please fill one out, it's very important. We also added to the questionnaire, for the new people, there is a bottom area for saying if you want to be considered to be an entrepreneur spotlight, because we will do that at every meeting. There's a place for you to write your name in there, and we will contact you for that. We're going to officially close our meeting with our special guest. I'm very excited about this. I'm so excited. But we will be here. You do not have to leave. So we're still going, but we want to try to keep it at 8 o'clock like we promised. We were supposed to start at 7, but we want to kind of get everybody, you know, get your cocktail and all that. So we started a little later than planned. So we're going to kind of have to shift the meeting because our special guest, another special guest, is a personal dear friend of mine. I love her so much. Lori Heffernan. Stand up. Lori Heffernan is a rock star. I mean, honestly,
Like literally.
She is a local rock star right here in Franklin Lakes, here at 513, to sing us out with our Star Spangled Banner.
This is my rock star wear. This is like, no tell what the heck's going on. But thank you for having me. Please bear with this voice of mine, please.
Oh, please stop.
But this is for our fabulous country, and it's one of my favorite songs, next to God Bless America, but we give it a try. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Come on now. Oh, save us that star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Lori, are you playing anywhere soon? Did you want to do a shameless plug?
I did here.
Thank